Jean-Claude Van Damme has shown not just physical strength but also a resiliency that is as captivating as his on-screen identities during his decades-long career, which has included hits like Kickboxer and Bloodsport. However, there is an untold story lurking under the glitz and glamour of fame and the action scenes that defined a whole age. A guy whose struggles were distant from those portrayed in Hollywood films is shown in this video, from his time at the height of his success to the private struggles that put his character to the test. This biography delves into Jean-Claude's life away from the limelight. Come along with us as we enter Van Damme's realm and go beyond the punches. A story of dogged persistence and many abilities, Jean-Claude Van Damme rose from the ranks of a Brussels-thin child to become a martial arts legend. As a child of Flemish and French speakers, Jean-Claude Van Varenberg reflected his multicultural upbringing. His parents were Eliana and Eugene Van Varenberg, the latter of whom was an accountant. Jean-Claude was born in Belgium. His family placed a strong emphasis on education, and he had a rather ordinary childhood. But even as a child, Jean-Claude sensed a calling that would influence his life's trajectory. When Jean-Claude was just 10 years old, he started his physical adventure. He signed his kid up for Shotokan karate classes because his dad saw a need for physical fitness and maybe self-esteem. With this choice, Jean-Claude dove headfirst into the martial arts. My journey in karate was only the start. He took up kickboxing as a new talent and devoted himself entirely to the discipline, training for the intense physical demands of the sport. He was so skilled, dedicated, and hardworking that he had earned a black belt by the time he was 18 years old. Even though Jean-Claude had extensive instruction in martial arts, he didn't end there. An unexpected turn in his life came when he started pursuing dance at the age of 16. Ballet, which has a reputation for being delicate and elegant, really requires a lot of physical stamina. It was just another obstacle in Jean-Claude's path to physical perfection. His eagerness to challenge preconceptions and try new things shone in his ballet explorations, which helped him become more agile, strong, and controlled. Martial arts and ballet weren't his only physical pursuits. He also started bodybuilding with the goal of developing a strong physique that would mirror his inner fortitude. Because of his hard work and commitment, he was able to win the Mr. Belgium bodybuilding title, which cemented his position in the fitness and athletic world. But training wasn't the only thing going on in Jean-Claude's early life. He had to deal with obstacles, times of uncertainty, and the problem of juggling his personal life with his rigorous training regimen. But those formative years laid the groundwork for everything that followed. He had a time of profound personal and professional development during which he learned a great deal and worked tirelessly. Entering the professional martial arts scene for the first time was a test of physical prowess and a formative experience for the indomitable Jean-Claude Van Damme. Having devoted himself to martial arts and earned a black belt among his many talents, which also included ballet and bodybuilding, Jean-Claude started participating in karate events in the mid-1970s. He became famous in the Belgian martial arts scene for his dogged determination and unusual combination of abilities. After a rocky start to his professional career, Jean-Claude swiftly built up an amazing record. His early career was defined by his resilience and capacity to learn from setbacks. An important turning point in his life came when he helped the Belgian karate team win the European Karate Championship. His individual achievements were as remarkable, showcasing his skill and commitment to martial arts via triumphs and championships. But Jean-Claude had bigger dreams than competing in European martial arts events. He took a daring leap of faith in 1982, leaving professional martial arts behind to pursue a career in Hollywood. Moving to the United States was an audacious and difficult step toward his goal of becoming a movie star. Things were difficult at first in the United States. Without any resources or contacts, Jean-Claude was thrust into a foreign nation. While he was attempting to get into acting, he took odd jobs like laying carpets and delivering pizzas. The tiny parts and stunt work he began to acquire in films were his big break. Despite the lack of recognition, he gained invaluable experience in the film business from his uncredited early roles. He persisted until he got a major part in the martial arts movie no retreat, no surrender. Because of this part, he became well known and opened doors for him. He first came to prominence with the 1988 picture Bloodsport, which, despite its low budget and unsophisticated plot, managed to captivate people all over the globe. Van Damme used this film as a proving ground, where his martial arts prowess and indisputable screen presence garnered attention and opportunities. For Van Damme, his Hollywood journey began with Bloodsport. Van Damme displayed not just his fighting prowess, but also an endearing film presence as Frank Dux, a figure entangled in the underworld of an illicit martial arts competition. The film's popularity served as a boon to the filmmakers financially, but it also propelled Van Damme to stardom as a new kind of action hero, one with fighting prowess and the charisma to win over audiences of all stripes. A meteoric rise followed for Van Damme's career after Bloodsport. He had a plenty of character options, but he chose to play Cyborg, 1989, which would solidify his reputation in the action genre. The low-budget picture Cyborg proved that Van Damme could command attention only by being mentioned, and it was a financial success. The box office smash Kickboxer solidified his position as an action movie superstar that year, and the film's popularity led to a spin-off series that continued without him until a reboot series brought him back, reimagining his role in the plot. In the early 1990s, Van Damme was at the height of his career. Death Warrant and Lionheart both showcased his versatility as an action actor, but Lionheart did it in a way that highlighted his skills as a martial artist and an actor who could handle the emotional weight of a picture. As a demonstration of his flexibility, he played double parts in the action-packed and emotionally riveting 1991 film Double Impact, pitting his own twin characters against one another. Van Damme's position in Hollywood had been cemented by 1992. His ability to star in very successful studio films is on full display in the science fiction action picture Universal Soldier, where he co-starred with Dolph Lundgren. The picture earned over $100 million globally and solidified Van Damme's status as a bankable major action actor, despite mixed reviews from critics. In the mid-1990s, Van Damme tried his hand at a number of roles, including that of a time-traveling police officer in Time Cop, 1994, which became his highest-grossing leading part to that point, and the financial success of the video game adaptation Street Fighter, 1994, despite negative reviews. These roles showcased Van Damme's openness to experimenting with many action genres, from science fiction to adaptations, while consistently showcasing his charismatic martial arts style. But there were some bumps along the road. Even though they were commercially successful, films like Sudden Death, 1995, and The Quest, 1996, which he also directed, showed that audiences' preferences were changing and that Van Damme was having trouble keeping his popularity at the box office. His efforts to broaden his cinematic character failed miserably in 1996's Maximum Risk and 1997's Double Team, in which he collaborated with basketball icon Dennis Rodman. Van Damme went through a time of introspection and change in the late 1990s and early 2000s. The lackluster reception of recent projects such as Legionnaire, 1998, and Universal Soldier: The Return, 1999, highlights the need for innovation in light of the shifting action genre. Van Damme's highly lauded performance in JCVD, 2008, which showed a more sensitive and introspective Van Damme, was the result of his exploration of characters that allowed for greater depth and complexity during this period. Van Damme confronted his own identity on and off film during this phase of reevaluation, which went beyond merely choosing various parts. JCVD gave fans a taste of the actor's dramatic chops they had only seen in his previous work, allowing them to see beyond his action hero persona. Van Damme's popularity was reignited by the film's success, which allowed him to showcase his range and ability to create emotionally engaging performances, in addition to his action hero roles. The narrative of Van Damme changed course under the illumination of the limelight, alluding to conflicts far from the jubilant spectators. In the face of intense public scrutiny, He faced his inner demons head-on during these ordeals. It was especially rough for Van Damme in the late 90s. He went down a dark path as a result of his personal life, his career, and the need to keep up his action star reputation dangerous route. A cloud was placed over Van Damme's private life when his marriage to Darcy Lapierre began to collapse. His already complicated personal life took a turn for the worse when word got out about his involvement with Kylie Minogue when Street Fighter was in production. Even though people were stunned by Van Damme's confession of the affair years later, it brought a touch of scandal to his public character. His marriage to Lapierre, who was expecting a child at the time of the affair, and Minogue both took a hit when this news broke. At the same time as his cocaine use was taking a toll on his profession, Van Damme's fortune started to fall at this time. The toll his addiction had on his health and his account was devastating, and he admitted to using at a rate that would shock most people. The turning point came in 1998 when Van Damme was diagnosed with rapid cycling bipolar illness. It gave a name to his struggles and showed him how to find relief via medicine. Although the diagnosis provided much-needed clarity, it also compelled Van Damme to face the truth about his situation. Because of his problem, he turned to martial arts training for relief. The physical workouts helped for a while, but he knew he needed a long-term answer. Van Damme's work life was affected by his personal issue. Rejecting a lucrative 3-picture agreement in favor of bigger financial benefits, he let his ego get in the way of his judgment after Time Cop's success. A period of professional exile ensued as a result of this action, as he was marginalized in Hollywood and put on a blacklist. Reports of his problematic conduct on set, including instances of unintentional physical injury to co-stars, further damaged his image. His resignation from the role of Predator, which had the potential to boost his Hollywood status, was a watershed moment in his career. The physical discomfort of the outfit and his discontent with the role's restrictions ultimately led to Van Damme's withdrawal. At the time, this choice didn't seem like much, but looking back, it was indicative of a sequence of decisions that ultimately derailed his career. Nevertheless, destiny had another plan. An famous and career-defining role that was cast for Van Damme upon his return from Mexico was Bloodsport. Van Damme's drug misuse was worsened by the stress of being on set all the time. He was dealing with serious personal and professional issues as a result of his cocaine addiction, which had gotten out of hand by the mid-1990s. His sobriety efforts were fleeting, and he didn't start to tackle his addiction head-on until he saw the terrible results of his behavior, which included a DUI conviction. His emotional and professional struggles were worsened in 1999 when he was charged with DUI. For Van Damme, the tragedy reached rock bottom when he lost custody of his kid, an injury that would have devastated any father. His struggle with bipolar illness added another layer of complexity to this gloomy chapter. He had to re-establish his self-esteem piece by piece and find worth in every aspect of his life as he fought his way to recovery. Van Damme's perseverance started to shine through despite all of these obstacles. With a dedication to sobriety, a diagnosis of bipolar disease, and an attempt to clean up his act, he began a lengthy but steady road to recovery. In 1999, he remarried Gladys Portuguese, marking a new beginning and an effort to rise above the ashes of his previous. Despite all that was going on around him, Van Damme's unwavering devotion to martial arts was a steadying influence. His professional ups and downs, personal turmoil, and struggle with bipolar disease and drug misuse all combine to show that he is a man battling for what seems like an insurmountable cause. Not only has Van Damme overcome personal crises and professional disappointments, but he has also been the subject of much criticism. Van Damme's professional accomplishments have been overshadowed by a string of events that have garnered public and legal attention throughout his career. The location of his meteoric rise to prominence, Brussels, was the site of one of the most recent and severe charges leveled against Van Damme in August 2021. He was accused in a disturbing occurrence. Van Damme was accused of attacking a 33-year-old lady at an exclusive champagne bar that was famous for its star clientele and premium atmosphere. The incident apparently started with flirting but soon became violent, with the actor trying to coerce the victim into engaging in sexual activity. The Brussels public prosecutor launched an inquiry when the lady fled the scene and filed a lawsuit, which put Van Damme under intense scrutiny. Despite the seriousness of the accusations, Van Damme's management team maintained that he was innocent. During the early stages of his cinematic career, Jean-Claude Van Damme was involved in controversy due to a terrible occurrence that occurred on the set of Cyborg in 1989. Stuntman Jackson "Rock" Pinckney was left permanently blind after being hit in the eye by Van Damme's character, who was using a rubber prop knife during shooting of a battle sequence. After this tragic incident, Pinckney sued Van Damme, claiming that the director's dedication to realistic battle sequences was a contributing factor in the catastrophe. Van Damme did not behave recklessly, according to the defense, which argued that the event was an unfortunate byproduct of action filmmaking. But other stuntmen corroborated Pinckney's claims by describing Van Damme's penchant for over-the-top brutality in his performances. Pinckney was granted a substantial sum of $487,000 in damages when the court ruled in his favor. The public's perception of Van Damme is already complicated due to his history of disagreements, many of which have included prominent members in the martial arts community. A martial artist named Frank Dux, who was depicted by Van Damme in the 1997 cult classic Bloodsport, sued him. In 1996, Dux sued Van Damme, claiming the actor owed him $50,000 for his consulting and co-writing roles in the film The Quest. Dux went a step further by saying that Van Damme had fabricated his martial arts record, which made many question the veracity of his claims to renown. Legal counsel for Van Damme said that his client's martial arts skills were obvious from watching his films and demonstrating his on-screen competence. Disagreement has also arisen about Van Damme's private life, especially around his romantic connections. After his rift with ex-wife Darcy Lapierre deepened, the involvement of Chuck Zito, a stuntman and bodyguard who had worked with Van Damme before, in Lapierre's life added fuel to the fire. After Lapierre accused Van Damme of abusing her during their marriage, Zito allegedly physically attacked him in a Manhattan strip club in 1998. While Zito claimed in his book that the encounter shattered his hand, Van Damme publicly refuted the accusation and challenged Zito to a fight. His public status has been further hampered by Van Damme's involvement in activities linked to controversial personalities. His attendance at the birthday party in Grozny of Chechen President Ramzan Kadyrov in October 2011 brought him criticism. Human rights groups strongly condemned Van Damme and other celebrities' attendance at the event, which they said brought attention to Kadyrov's involvement to several human rights violations. Human rights activists have valid worries, but others said the presence of the celebrities gave Kadyrov's authority too much credibility. The Muscles from Brussels has had a full and complicated personal life in addition to his legendary martial arts career in Hollywood. His love life, which spans decades and is as varied and vibrant as his cinema, is full of passion, tragedy, and redemption. Van Damme married Maria Rodriguez in August 1980 after falling in love with her during his early days as a celebrity. This marriage, nevertheless, was not to last. It ended in 1984, when Van Damme's career was taking off, a precursor to the difficulties that celebrity would impose on his private life. When Van Damme's marriage to Rodriguez ended in divorce in August 1985, he quickly found comfort in his marriage to Cynthia Derderian. Unfortunately, this marriage, like so many others that were formed in the spotlight, faded away by 1986. In the middle of these early personal relationships, Van Damme met Gladys Portugues, a woman of incredible power and adaptability who was well known for her bodybuilding, modeling, and literary accomplishments. Their lives took a dramatic turn. They first met at a Chuck Norris party, and that was the beginning of a long and meaningful friendship. After falling madly in love with Portugues, Van Damme fearlessly declared that she would be his wife, a prophecy that would eventually come true. Their first marriage in 1987 was the beginning of a turbulent journey through life together, filled with deep love and heartbreaking separations. Infidelity sunk the marriage by 1992, and the couple's painful divorce followed. But this was only the beginning of their adventure. They would eventually reunite. Reunited by the relentless hand of fate, they reignited their romance and tied the knot again in 1999. Attendees at the stunning event in North Belgium, which commemorated the couple's reunion, included Sylvester Stallone, demonstrating the couple's everlasting allure and bond. The disclosures of Van Damme's romance with Alina Kavina in 2015 caused Gladys to apply for a divorce, casting a shadow on their rekindled relationship. Regardless of the chaos, their bond and their unwavering devotion to one another helped them weather the storm, and their eventual reunion strengthened their friendship. Between these two pivotal periods with Portuguese, Van Damme's love life took a detour, and in 1994 he wed Darcy Lapierre in a colorful wedding in Bangkok. The couple finally had a son, Nicholas van Varenberg, after enduring a difficult relationship that ended in divorce in 1997. The romance between Van Damme and Kylie Minogue overshadowed the breakdown of their marriage. Is Jean-Claude Van Damme someone you like? If you like what you see, please subscribe and share your thoughts with us below. I appreciate you tuning in.